Welcome to the 10th episode of the Beyond Retirement Learning Series, sponsored by Senior Edge Legal. I'm Susan Graham, a certified elder law attorney based in Boise, Idaho. And today we're going to talk about, does your old estate plan still work? I know your goals are to gather information and to see if I might be a good member on your team. And my goal is threefold. One, to give you useful information so you have a secure future, and to provide free legal forms to you that everybody needs. In addition, I'm going to show you how to meet with me if that's something you choose to do later. There is an evaluation form at the bottom of your screen, and you can fill that out anytime during this program or afterward. Okay, so today we're going to talk about, does your old estate plan still work? You know, when people do estate planning, there are some basic ultimate goals. Of course, there's the traditional, when you die, who's going to be in charge and who's going to get your property. But there's also the issue of what happens if you don't die, if you become unable to manage your affairs. And that's the primary goal for most people's estate plan, to see that their wishes are carried out by the people that they want to carry them out. So what changes might be required to update your estate plan or maybe have a new plan? Well, as time goes by, there are four things that change. And we usually encourage our clients to come see us at least every 3 years, whether they think they need to or not. And certainly come if something major happens in their lives. What can change is the law can change, your health can change, the people that are in your world, your relationship with those people can change, your finances can change. Or one of the things that could happen is you move. You move from where you used to be closer to other family or your grandchildren. So how do you bring your estate plan up to date? Well, the first thing you need to do is sit down and talk with your friendly estate planning attorney. Again, I'm a certified estate planning attorney, and I'm very proud of that designation because it means I've had to go through a whole series of additional steps to maintain that certification. But if you talk to any estate planning attorney, one of the things you need to do is look at your old documents and then talk to the attorney about what you're trying to accomplish. Do those old documents still meet your needs? For instance, you may have focused on having guardians for your children when they were younger, and now your children are old enough to actually handle things for you when you're no longer able to do that. It could have been that the tax laws have changed. There have been significant changes to the tax laws. One in particular is the Secure Act, which was passed and put into effect January 1st of the year 2020. And that changed how inherited IRAs are handled. So many people had to adjust their estate plans to deal with that. In addition, in changes from the federal law, the death tax has changed. It used to be that the death tax-free estate was about $1 million, and then it became there was no death tax, and then all of a sudden Congress passed a law that said the death tax-free estate now is if you're a single person, if you have less than $11.7 million, there's no death tax in Idaho or the federal government. But we're in a terrible financial pickle in our world right now, and it's very likely that the death tax will drop back to a much lower number. That death tax will sunset under the current law in 2026. To be a death tax-free estate is $6 million or less for approximately for a single person and double for a married person. But there's current talk about reducing the death tax estate substantially lower than that. In addition, it could be that the people that you used to use as agents, the ones who are going to talk to the doctor when you're not able to communicate effectively, or the ones who are going to pay your bills when you're too ill to do that, or to wind everything up when you're dead, that they're no longer appropriate. Could have been they died, they move away, your relationship with them has changed. You may want to, instead of using a friend or family member, really think about using an independent person, such as a bank, trust department, because they don't die, they don't move away, they don't retire. There's always going to be somebody there to handle it. They know what they're doing. They also have plenty of insurance to cover if somebody makes a mistake. So for many families, that's a useful thing to consider. When you talk about bringing your estate plan up to date, There are different ways of doing it. It could be you just need a few amendments, a few things to be changed, to be spiffed up in the corners. Or it could be that you need to do it all over again. And it also could be, if you have a revocable trust, that you have assets that are titled in the name of that trust, like your house could be in the name of that trust. For instance, my house is in the name of Susan Graham, trustee of the Susan Graham's Trust. But if I've got a trust that says all that, and the date of the trust is 1995, but everything else in the trust is really too old. The whole things need to be redone. But who wants to do all that homework and retitle the house title and retitle the brokerage account and change all the beneficiary designations to coordinate your estate plan with your assets? It's possible to restate a trust, meaning you have a real pretty car, an antique car that's all shiny and bright on the outside, but the engine's shot. So what happens when you restate a trust, you just throw out that old engine, drop in a new one, and still use the old date and the old name. So you don't have to redo all of that homework that was required to coordinate your assets with your estate plan. So it's critical. Look at your documents. Go find them. Go find your trust, if you have a revocable trust or irrevocable trust, any wills that you have, the health power of attorney and living will, your financial power of attorney. Go look at those documents and see, do they really still meet your needs? If you have moved to a different state, I strongly encourage you to go talk to an estate planning attorney and have those documents reviewed to see if they're still going to work for the laws in that new state. Whatever you did in the original state where those documents were drafted, if they were drafted by an attorney, they will be fine, but they may not be the best for you. For instance, every one of the 50 states has a different form for their living will and their health power of attorney. The living will is a health document that says if the doctor says you have a terminal illness condition and your death is imminent, that means you're knocking at heaven's gate. They have different forms and they have a different look on the choices you get to make about how you're treated in that terminal illness in the last days of your life. And they have a different look and a different form for who's on the on the health power of attorney. You only want these to be used in an emergency, and the healthcare providers know what their state's forms look like. So to make it most likely that it's going to be honored, it's very useful to use the health documents that are provided in that local jurisdiction, that local state. Same thing for financial powers of attorney. In Idaho, we have a statutory form, a form that was adopted by the state legislature. And again, that has a unique look to it, and it's also a very good document. You may want to make some changes to that, so personalize it for your own particular desires. But again, you want it to look like the familiar form that the bank is going to look at, or the title company, or the other financial institutions. So, does your old estate plan still work? Maybe not. And the only way you're going to have the peace of mind to know that these documents are going to be effective, should they be needed if you become incapacitated or the day you die, is to make certain they're current. So I strongly encourage you to have them reviewed. Now, if you would, I appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. If you would fill out the evaluation form at the bottom of this screen. Please critique me. If you'd like to meet with me, indicate that, and someone from my office will contact you to see if we're a potential good fit. We also have free forms, financial powers of attorney, health documents, and some other forms that you can access by filling out that evaluation form. The next topic is going to be, what if you don't have an estate plan? What will happen when you die or you're unable to care for yourself? Thank you for listening to this.